We launched last year at CEIBS a survey among foreign executives working in China. And we asked them, what are the main challenges you are facing doing business here?
The negotiation part and understanding how to deal on a day-to-day basis with leading and managing teams here and the different styles from the United States versus China, and understanding the face and the negotiations and the closing on issues without anyone losing face.
My challenge would be the China market is different, Chinese customers are different, and probably the Chinese sales teams are different. But it's very difficult for me to understand, and also to make the headquarters to understand the difference is very challenging.
I find actually that the main challenge is to do change management. So we already have an existing structure in China, but as the market develops and as our business here in China also develops over time, there's a need to be able to change the organization, the way that the organization is structured, the way it is organized, the type of people that we have in the organization. So that for me has been the most important focus area.
The major challenge, and actually I think the course of doing business in China, the program, it's to understand cultures. I think one of the main issues for the Westerns is to understand the culture and how to behave respectful in your country and to do things properly.
Finding and retaining human resources. And that is a challenge that confirms other research that has been done in this sense. And it's also a challenge that affects Chinese companies. So it's a very general topic. The second challenge, the second concern that these executives expressed in this survey was raising costs in China. Labor costs, resources. It seems that there is a trend of increasing costs in the country, which means that they have basically to adapt their strategies. China is becoming less and less attractive as an outsourcing center, a cheap place where you can manufacture goods. And it's becoming more important as a market to sell your products. Yeah? So here there is an important shift in the orientation of many of these organizations. The third factor that they mention is a very interesting factor. They say Chinese competitors are getting stronger. So if you add those three things, human resources is more challenging to get and retain good people, especially the middle level, raising costs, and Chinese are becoming better at competing. Yeah? This is changing gradually, but it's changing the business landscape in this country. It's a 4-day program, and it's addressed to give them a head start, help them to avoid mistakes that we have seen that are made by other foreign executives. That is the basic purpose. The first day is more general about the context. So we start talking about the history of China, the political situation in China, the economy, cover these micro topics. Yeah? But that will give an introduction to the rest of the program. In the second day is devoted to one of the challenges I mentioned at the beginning, human resources. We cover about leadership, what are the key characteristics of a good leader in China. We talk about the influence of culture in the way people manage in China, like we refer to Confucius, for instance. And we also talk about HR, and with a special stress on the Generation Y, yeah? The new generation, the people that are in the early 20s, that are becoming the main element of the workforce, yeah? Especially for multinationals, how to deal with this new generation. Third day is about the market. So we talk about marketing, what are the challenges of building a brand in China, what are the challenges of distributing your products in China, what are the characteristics of the market, the differences between first-tier cities, the big cities like Shanghai, Beijing, second cities, third cities. So in that day, we cover all these different aspects which are critical for doing good business in China. Yeah? I mentioned before that the focus of multinationals is not so much still, but it's not so much about producing to export, but they are looking more at the market, at China as a market for their own products. And the last day, we covered a key issue, which is negotiation and working with a joint venture partner. So this gives you 4 days. It's a very intensive course. We also invite some executives to give presentations and talk with executives that are in the classroom.
I think that the first day that we had with all the emerging market, where it's going, the retargeting to the center, and the urbanization of the special economic zones along the coast and how that's going to shift in the future. That will help me because that will identify where our factories may be moving to.
I have a much more detailed understanding of let's say, the state of the Chinese economy now than I had before, and also what the specific challenges are, where the risks are, and where the opportunities are. I think his model displayed that very precisely.
Many of the information that I got here is not possible. There is a lot of writings and articles about Chinese politics and also Chinese plans, 5-year plans, but I don't get the more context, what's behind it, what's next to it. But I got the very detailed and most of all, a lot of viewpoints about what they think, what Chinese people think, and that's very helpful.
The first one that I've learned, definitely, it's China. It's a matter of timing, of have patience, of understand the culture, understand the way of doing business. It's not like the Western do it. We are very much. We have nowadays, after this course, I think there's more to learn about China, about doing business in China, that to bring. I mean, we're very skilled in a few things that are probably very good for the Western side, but still we have to work on understanding the new skills that we have to learn from the Chinese to make things happen here.
An important part of the program, because it's not only about listening to the professors, we want to get the participants to share. So we ask them to, every day in the morning, to reflect about what we listened in the day before. What are the key issues? What are the things that they can apply?
The fellow students, my colleagues here at the course, we are more than 30 people from a number of different countries, different businesses and industries, and it's been very inspiring to engage with all these people.
The best thing that I got here is to talk with people, of very talented people, talented professors.
Faculty, I think the faculty has a high level. I'm very impressed that I was able to interact with a Chinese professor who's also a senior advisor in macroeconomics for the Chinese government.
For them, it's like an eye-opener.
I think now I understand something that is very important that for me has been an eye-opening.
Many people that come to China have heard about China. Yeah? China is in the news, China is the big thing, China market is growing while the rest of the world is in this crisis. So they have their ideas about China. They are not ignorant about China. But what we do in the program is to go deeper than that, what you hear from the news or TVs or CNN, yeah, is go deeper. We use cases in which we present specific situations and we give them more information about the important values of Chinese. We talk about how the Chinese think.
I think it's going to help me understand the differences better, not knowing that it really identified and solidified the differences within China, and not make me step back and not look at China as a whole, but look at China as a number of pieces that are different, that you have to work with in different ways.
From a political way of looking at your country, and from a financial and economic information that you're sharing now, is completely different than what we taught in the Western countries. It's not the same thing when you see I would say, the weight that China has in the world. According to China, is much more important than the way that Western countries see China. So when you understand the evolution or how they have come to what the country that you have now, much more important to understand it from the inside, from the economic, Chinese economists, Chinese people who will tell you how they see the world, how they see the finance, how they see their political situation, and what's the strength of it that we don't see on the Western side.
Before I come here, of course, I tried to do a lot of studies about China and Chinese market, and also I sort of read a lot of books and tried to learn Chinese too. But every information that I get is somewhere biased by, probably because I'm Japanese in a Japanese context, or it could be biased by English-speaking context. But when I joined this class, I sort of felt and sort of think that I do see more as a holistic view